My name is Caleb Harper. I'm 35, a software engineer who spent the last decade grinding code for a mid-tier fintech startup in Austin, Texas. Nights were for debugging, mornings for black coffee and commits. I'm the guy who'd rather refactor a legacy system than glad hand at SXSW panels. For 8 years, I was with Megan Walsh, 29 when we met at a hackathon, sharp as a compiler, with a laugh that cut through server room hum. We shared a loft in East Austin, talked kids, picked out a fixer-upper in Travis Heights. Wedding was locked for June 2023, something low-key at a hill country vineyard. 10 days before the save-the-date mailers went out, Megan sat me down on our sagging IKEA couch, takeout foe cooling between us. "Caleb, I need runway," she said, like she was closing a Series B. "You're still in beta." No tears, no fight, just a clean exit. I stared at the engagement ring she slid across the coffee table, a modest sapphire I'd saved 6 months to buy. 3 months later, her LinkedIn updated. "Excited to join Vanguard Equity as VP of Strategic Partnerships, thanks to my incredible fiancé, Preston Caldwell." Preston was 58, a private equity titan who'd turned distressed strip malls into mixed-use gold across the Sun Belt. His firm, Caldwell Capital, had quietly headhunted Megan straight out of our breakup. The same Preston who'd greenlit the seed round for my startup's biggest client. My code kept his portfolio companies solvent. Now he was keeping my ex in Hermes. Megan's Instagram flipped overnight. Private jets to Aspen, courtside at Spurs games, gala selfies at the Driscoll with captions like "living my plot twist." I didn't spiral. I deleted the app, open-sourced a side project I'd been nursing, and incorporated Harper Labs in July 2023. Focus: privacy-first fintech tools for credit unions. First client was a co-op in San Marcos. Small potatoes, executed like clockwork. Word traveled the Texas co-op circuit. By spring 2024, we'd landed a white-label banking platform for a chain of Oklahoma credit unions, then a data security audit for a New Mexico consortium. Revenue hit 7 figures. Then came the San Antonio contract. The Menger Hotel, 1880s cattle baron landmark beside the Alamo, had been snapped up by a boutique hospitality group aiming to restore Victorian bones while threading in fiber and smart room tech. Biggest integration I'd ever touched. I took it sight unseen. 2 weeks into discovery, I learned Preston and Megan had booked the entire property for their wedding weekend, October 2024. The project manager forwarded the save the date with a single emoji. Preston called himself. "Caleb, heard you're modernizing the Menger. Stellar. Megan and I would love to have you at the wedding. Clean slate, yeah?" His drawl carried the easy confidence of a man who'd never been told no. I counted to 4. "Wouldn't miss it, Preston." I hung up and dove into schematics. The Menger was a maze. Original gas lines, load-bearing brick, a bar Teddy Roosevelt supposedly recruited Rough Riders in. We were ripping out asbestos, threading Cat 6 through crown molding, preserving the Alamo-facing veranda while adding biometric locks. I drove the 3 hours from Austin every Thursday, boots on mahogany floors, measuring twice, coding once. That's where I met Nora Caldwell. She was in the Victorian parlor cataloging a set of 1890s stained glass panels with a macro lens and a voice recorder. Denim jacket, hair in a braid thick as climber's rope. "You're Harper," she said, not looking up. "Nora Caldwell. I'm handling the historic registry compliance." Caldwell. The surname landed like a stacked trace. I kept my face neutral. "Pleasure. Those panels are Tiffany, right?" "Attributed, not signed," she corrected, zooming in on a cracked iris petal. "But the provenance is solid. We can save 80% if your team routes the new HVAC around the transoms." We talked load paths and lead came for 40 minutes. She knew her stuff, PhD in material culture from Rice, hired by the hospitality group for her work on Galveston's Bishop's Palace. Over the next month, our site meetings became ritual. We'd huddle over blueprints in the lobby's afternoon light, arguing whether to conceal QR codes in the wainscoting or print leather-bound directories. Coffee turned into tacos at Mi Tierra after hours. Nora mentioned Preston only once, offhand. Uncle Pres sends a Christmas card with a stock tip. That's about the depth of it. I filed it away. By August, Harper Labs was ahead of schedule. The Menger CS new back-end synced guest profiles across 120 years of architecture without a single dropped packet. Nora's preservation notes were so meticulous the Texas Historical Commission sent a thank you plaque. Then Megan called. I was in my Austin office, stress testing a payment gateway. "Caleb, we need to talk." "Shoot. You're dating Preston's niece. That's messy." "Nora and I are adults. You booked my venue. I'm delivering. This isn't about the venue. It's about optics. Optics are your brand, Megan, not mine." She hung up. Preston followed with an email, cordial, lawyer-vetted, reminding me of shared professional history and mutual respect. I replied in one line, "Project remains on track." See you in October. What they didn't know. Caldwell Capital was bleeding. A Dallas mixed-use tower had lost its anchor tenant, a crypto exchange that imploded. Whispers in the Austin venture scene said Preston was personally underwater, moving money between shell entities to keep the lights on. I didn't dig, I just watched the commit log of public filings. The Menger soft-opened Labor Day weekend. Chandeliers glowed, smart mirrors recognized returning guests, the Roosevelt Bar poured craft Negronis under original tin ceilings. Harper Labs cashed the final milestone plus a six-figure bonus. Nora accepted a permanent role as the group's preservation director. We celebrated with breakfast tacos on the river walk, her bare feet in the water, my laptop balanced on a bench, closing the last ticket. October 12th dawned hot and cloudless. Nora and I rolled into San Antonio Friday night, checked into a restored suite overlooking the Alamo. She traced the new crown molding with a fingertip. "We did this," she said. I kissed the back of her neck. Team effort. Saturday, we killed time at the Pearl Farmers Market, bought nothing, held hands like tourists. At 3:30, we dressed, me in a graphite linen suit, Nora in a sleeveless emerald dress that made the stained glass jealous. We took seats 3 rows back on the groom's side. Preston looked gaunt, tan applied like spackle. Megan floated down the aisle in a gown that probably cost more than my first car. Her eyes found me instantly. Recognition, then something raw. She recovered, smiled for the cameras. The vows were forgettable. The open bar was not. During a cocktail hour on the Menger's veranda, the air smelled of mesquite and money. A string quartet sawed through Vivaldi while valets in white gloves ferried Teslas. Megan cornered us by the koi pond, champagne flute trembling just enough to betray the Botox. "Caleb, Nora, so glad y'all could make it." Her smile was campaign poster perfect. "Wouldn't miss history in the making," I said. Nora's fingers tightened around mine. Megan's gaze flicked to our joined hands. "Nora, your work on the glass is adequate. Uncle Priest says the Historical Commission loved it." "Funny," Nora answered. "They loved Caleb's latency metrics more. Sub 50 milliseconds on check-in. That's the real preservation, keeping guests from waiting." A flush crawled up Megan's throat. A photographer swooped in. She pivoted, grin re-engaged. Dinner was prime rib and performative toasts. Preston's college roommate regaled the ballroom with tales of keg stands and hostile takeovers. Megan's maid of honor praised her for never settling for legacy code. I raised an eyebrow at Nora. She nearly snorted Cabernet. Halfway through the fillet, a venture partner named Luis slid into the chair beside me. We'd met at a blockchain meetup in 2022. He smelled of cigar and panic. "Harper, word of advice, stay clear of Caldwell Capital checks. Preston's bouncing vendor payments like a bad API call. That Dallas tower? Ghost town. He's got 90 days before the banks foreclose on the HQ." I nodded once. Appreciate the ping. Nora leaned in after Luis left. How long have you known? Long enough to route our invoices through the hospitality group, not Caldwell. The dance floor opened with a country cover of Sweet Caroline. Preston and Megan took their spin under a chandelier I'd personally debugged. She kept scanning the crowd. Every third sweep landed on us. At 9:15, we made our escape. Preston intercepted us near the cigar roller, sweat shining at his temples. Caleb, son, outstanding integration. The smart mirrors, genius. His handshake was damp. Team effort, I echoed, tipping my head toward Nora. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Family looks good on you, kiddo. Family's what you show up for, Uncle Prez, she said. We left him holding an unlit Monte Cristo. We drove back to Austin at midnight, windows down, hill country dark, rushing past. Nora kicked off her heels, feet on the dash. That was the loneliest wedding I've ever seen, she said. Megan spent the whole night recalculating ROI. And Preston looked like a man watching his own obituary scroll. We didn't speak again until the skyline appeared. November brought rain and Chapter 11, filings. Caldwell Capital shuttered its Austin office. The glass tower on Congress became a very expensive bird sanctuary. Megan's LinkedIn pivoted to consulting. Preston sold the Aspen condo at a loss. Harper Labs, meanwhile, closed a Series A led by a Seattle credit union syndicate. 8 figures, all earned revenue, no smoke. We leased the top floor of the Frostbank Tower, hired 6 engineers, open-sourced our encryption layer. Nora's preservation group expanded to 3 states. She keynoted at the National Trust Conference in Savannah. We bought a 1940s bungalow in Bolden Creek, original pine floors, a porch swing, enough bandwidth for both our standing desks. No ring shopping, no grand gesture. One January morning over migas at Mi Madre's, I slid a house key across the table. Move in when you're ready. She was ready by sunset. March 2025, my phone buzzed with a 5 on 12 area code I'd deleted. Caleb, it's Megan. I was on the porch, debugging on a tablet, Nora sketching floor plans for a Waco bank conversion. I put it on speaker. Speak. A long inhale. I owe you an apology. I thought Preston was the upgrade. Turns out he was a fork bomb. Water under the bridge, Megan. I see you and Nora everywhere. Awards, panels, that Forbes blurb. You built the thing I said you never would. I built it because you said I never would. Silence. Then, I'm happy for you. I really am. Take care. I hung up. Nora never asked who it was. She just refilled my coffee. By summer, Harper Labs had 40 employees, projects in 6 states, and a patent pending on zero-knowledge guest verification. Nora and I got engaged on a July kayak trip on Lady Bird Lake. No knee, no ring, just a quiet, let's make this official, while dragonflies skimmed the water. We set the date for April 2026 at a restored grist mill outside Fredericksburg. 50 guests, tacos, no Wi-Fi. I'm 37 now, telling this in November 2025. Megan still works mid-level marketing for a CBD startup. Preston's liquidating what's left, last seen driving a leased Camry. I don't check their feeds. I don't need to. The best revenge isn't he watching someone's empire crash. It as building one so solid their wreckage can cast a shadow. It's waking up to a woman who chooses the work, not the spotlight. It's knowing the code you ship today will outlast every bad decision someone else made yesterday. Megan thought she left me in beta. Turns out she just pushed me to production.